Welcome back to another Pokemon Tabletop VOD review. In this episode, we've got another video from the Kansan League Cup, but this time we've got some different players on here. We've got Nolan on the left versus Rob on the right, and they're both going to be playing Charizard in this one. This was a top 8 match from the League Cup, and I really wanted to make this video because I think the Charizard mirror match is very intricate. There's a lot of prize manipulation going on, right? We've got the Dusknoir to take extra prizes, we've got the Briar to take extra prizes. And then, of course, by nature, Charizard's attack and Defiance Band wants you to play from behind. So you got to be very careful when taking prize cards in the Charizard mirror. And then I wanted to talk about how these players navigated those issues throughout this game. We start off with Rob. He goes first, and can't be ideal to go first in this matchup. You really want to play Arvin and get set up. I think the prize lead in this matchup is pretty irrelevant, right? So the idea of attacking on turn 2, although it's nice, I think just setting up is more important. I would much rather be Nolan in this situation with just like the Charmander than Rob, who got to go first, but has a Lumineon and a Rotom on his board. One other significant thing to note here was that Rob had one Ultra Ball, and he actually chose to get the Pidgey down, which I think is a great play. I think these Charizard decks really need Pidgeot to function. And I think the idea of potentially rare candying into Charizard on turn 2 and attacking would just be way too aggressive. So I think Rob is going to be looking here to just rare candy a Pidgeot on turn 2, maybe quick search for a Poffin, get some Charmanders down, and go for that instant charge again. Over to Nolan, we see a Buddy Buddy Poffin. Just going to get down the Pidgey and the Duskull. I think he might have another Charmander in hand as well. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, he knows that Rob is not going to be attacking on the next turn. And something really significant from this turn that I wanted to talk about is that you can see that Nolan actually has a Lumineon V in hand and just decides to not play it. I think this is a super high level play. A lot of the times you just think, oh, I need to play a supporter every turn, which generally it is a good idea to play a supporter every turn, but what would he really be doing? I guess getting more basics down with his current hand. You see the rare candy. He's going to be able to Lumineon, Arvin, Candy, Sealstone, and then Candy Pidgeot, Quick Search Charizard, Candy Charizard. So he has everything he needs for turn 2 in hand. And as a little bonus point, not playing a supporter makes his turn 1 look pretty weak. So maybe it makes Rob a little less likely to Iono him out of the perfect combo, really. Back over to Rob's turn, we see exactly what I was talking about before, just rare candying out that Pidgeot, getting a Poffin, getting a couple basics down, and I think the most significant thing to talk about from this turn is whether or not to retreat this Lumineon, and I'm still not entirely sure whether this is correct or not. I mean, of course you don't want to give up 2 prizes, but I also think there's some merit to just giving up the 2 prizes now so that you don't have this Lumineon sitting on the board later in the game. I think maybe I would have liked a retreat into the Rotom V on this turn, right? The Rotom V, 190 HP, can't actually get knocked out by Charizard, so could be a great way to wall an attack while not maybe getting like your Pidgeot punched, for example. That does not sound good. So I think maybe retreat into the Rotom is a little stronger, but instead just going to sack the Duskull, which I think is probably okay, better than sacking the Lumineon, maybe. Over to Nolan, we see the Lumineon that he was holding from turn 1, get that Pidgeot Charizard combo. We also saw he's sitting on an Iono in hand, so a pretty strong start from Nolan right out the gate. And then we're just going to see the Burning Darkness take this 1 prize. Now from Rob's spot here, of course we're going to want to be candying out a Charizard this turn. The question is, what do we knock out? I think there's definitely some merit to just killing the Lumineon this turn. There could also be some merit to just punching the Charizard or maybe punching the Duskull, but because Rob has this Rotom and Lumineon V on the board, I think he's under a lot of pressure to take prize cards, because if he doesn't take prizes, Nolan can just go ahead and like quick search boss, kill Lumineon, and quick search boss, kill Rotom, and he can really end the game very quickly. So I think from Rob's perspective, it makes sense to take some prize cards here. Definitely don't want to be punching the Charizard. I think potentially killing the Duskull here is all right. I like the dynamic of being on odd prizes in this matchup, just with ideas of dodging Briar, and then also potentially like skipping from 3 to 0 with your own Briar. It really used to be in this Charizard mirror match that you wanted to be on even prizes, right? Remember the days of like the Tord Babarrel Clefazard, and it was really all about being on even prizes, but I think the addition of Briar and Dusknoir really changes that dynamic. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take the 2-prize knockout on the Luminion. I think this is completely okay. Pretty strong turn from Rob. Nolan's going to go ahead and start off his turn with Quick Search here. This is very interesting to me. He's sitting on an Iono in hand, so it could make some sense to just play the Iono first, draw 5 cards, reevaluate what you have, and then Quick Search after. But, it looks like he's getting the Dusknoir, so I imagine he has a rare candy in hand. This makes a lot of sense. He wants to Quick Search out that rare candy Dusknoir while he has one of the pieces in hand. Doesn't want to Iono away that rare candy and then risk not finding it. Now, the other thing I find very interesting here is that he actually decides to Iono before popping this Dusknoir, and I'm actually going to go ahead and just pause the video here because I think this is a very interesting moment in the game. And the reason to Dusknoir before Iono, of course, is to make Rob draw 1 less card, right? We make him draw a prize, then we play Iono. It actually ends up being 2 less cards for Rob because not only does he draw 1 less from the Iono, but he also doesn't draw 1 from the Dusknoir. I thought about it for a while, and I think that Nolan's reason for not popping the Dusknoir here is that if he draws into a Countercatcher, he could actually use Countercatcher and Dusknoir to knock out the Pidgeot, which is generally a very fundamental play against Charizard, right? Take out their Pidgeot. I think in this spot, I would just value giving Rob 2 less cards than the idea of potentially taking out the Pidgeot. I just think taking out the Pidgeot's kind of unnecessary. We're going to go to 3-3 here on prizes. Rob doesn't have any 2-prize Pokemon he can knock out. He can't use Defiance Band to knock out the Pidgeot because we're going to be tied on 3. So I think as Nolan here, I would just be content to pop the Dusknoir before the Iono, take out the Zard, and not worry about killing the Pidgeot. I think the only way Nolan can really lose the game from here is some kind of like crazy Dusknoir Briar combo play, something like that. And I actually think by just giving him 2 less cards and taking out the Charizard instead of the Pidgeot, that combo gets less likely. So a pretty marginal spot here. I definitely understand the appeal of wanting to kill the Pidgeot. Definitely a close call for sure. I was also wondering for a while if Nolan was ever just not going to pop this Dusknoir here. It seems like he's considering it too. The idea of like potentially just punching this Charizard for, 240 damage. Save your Dusknoir for kind of those late game plays. Like I mentioned earlier, right? The more prizes you take, the stronger your opponent's Charizard is. So sometimes you don't want to be taking those prizes, and just punching for some damage can be okay. But I think I like this Dusknoir pop. It puts Nolan onto 3 prizes, which is fairly threatening, right? He can go down to 1 prize and block Briar, block Dusknoir. He could also potentially make a 3-prize turn with some kind of like Dusknoir plus like Boss Luminion or something like that. So I definitely don't hate taking the prizes here. I could also hear an argument for just punching, saving your Dusknoir, I'm not entirely sure on that turn, but this definitely seems like a strong spot. And I'm not really sure what Rob is supposed to go for here. Short of some kind of crazy game-winning combo, right? Like he could go Rare Candy Dusknoir, Rare Candy Charizard, Briar, take 3 on the active Charizard, win the game. And I mean, that would be awesome, but it seems kind of hard to do that off of this. I mean, even with the flip the script, I think that's only maybe like 8 cards in hand, and it's a 5-card combo. And he cannot use a supporter to do it. So I think overall it's very unlikely he can actually get the combo here. And without the complete combo, I don't really know what he's supposed to do. If he were to bring in a 1-prizer, right, say like the Charmander and knock it out, Nolan can just play Briar to win the game. He can't kill the Pidgeot. He can't kill the Charizard. If he just punches into the Charizard for, like, say, 270 damage, I think Nolan would just Pidgeot for boss, knock out the Fez, go to 1. And then with Nolan on 1, you can't can't Dusknoir, he can't Briar. So I don't really know what Rob is supposed to do here. Potentially, yeah, and if you do nothing, like if you just like pass, then Nolan can just do the same thing where he just knocks out, say, Lumineon or Fez and goes to 1, and then you have no way to take all 3 at once. So I think Rob's hand's really tied on this turn. It seems like he knows it. He's quick searching. He's taking a while, and I think at this point the game is fairly locked up. I like maybe the best out here would have been to like knock out a 1 prize. No, it's just also bad. Maybe like you knock out Duskull with Radiant Charizard, and then if Nolan doesn't have Counter Catcher plus Briar, he can't take all 3 of his prize cards at once. Maybe that was the play. Not entirely sure, but it looks like Rob might just have a whole lot of nothing. I don't even see a Charizard coming out, so might just be passing off this turn. Yeah, just going to retreat into the Duskull and instant charge. So I think back to Nolan here. I mean, I would assume his hand doesn't have very many strong cards in it. I think you would just go quick search for boss in, maybe the Pheasantipity, knock it out, go to 1 prize, block any kind of shenanigans. Maybe you could like get down. It's like a little risky, I guess, if you go to 1 prize and then Rob just one-shots your Charizard, plays an Iono to 1, you would need to draw into Rare Candy or Charizard in order to get the game-winning attack in. I feel like if you can Ultra Ball or get Charmeleon down here and then also play boss, it's almost checkmate, because then if your Charizard gets knocked out, you can just quick search for another Charizard, take that last KO. But I imagine if he had that, he would have just done it. Here's an Ultra Ball. Maybe for the Charmeleon. Nope, decides to go for the Dusclops. Yeah, I think I would have liked to see Nolan. I know the other card he quick searched for here, it's an Iono. And I think instead of Ultra Balling for this Duskull, it would have been a little stronger. Just Ultra Ball for the Charmeleon. Quick search boss, go to 1. I think that's almost checkmate, but instead he just gets the Dusclops, plays an Iono, and I think he's just going to go ahead and knock out this Dusclops. This does give Rob another chance to, draw like a completely crazy hand. He would need, or I guess it's maybe not that crazy. So he would need Rare Candy, Charizard, plus Briar to win the game here. He's probably not favored to get there, but he definitely could just Rare Candy, Charizard, Briar, and steal this game, where I think if Nolan just played a boss on the last turn, it would have been checkmate, unless I'm misunderstanding maybe his prize cards or yeah, we see Rob quick search here first. We talked about this after the game as well. You definitely want to be using flip the script here first, right? Draw your cards, see what pieces you get, then maybe quick search for that missing piece. But Rob said that he had a bunch of good cards on the bottom of his deck from the Iono, maybe the Briar, a couple rare candies, a couple Charizards or something. So he felt he really needed to shuffle the deck before this flip the script, which might have been true if like a lot of good cards were on the bottom of the deck. But generally, I think just flip the script there first is a little better. And looks like he doesn't get to that big rare candy Charizard play, so I think he's in a rough spot. If he kills the Pidgeot, Charizard wins the game. If he kills the Charizard, well, I guess if he killed the Charizard here, he technically wouldn't lose on the spot. Nolan would still need a rare candy or a Charizard in hand, and then he would quick search for the other piece, of course. But it looks like we're not going to see that. I think if I remember correctly, Rob's Defiance Band was prized, so he actually couldn't take this one shot on the Charizard. Right, of course, Burning Darkness only doing 300 here, so he does need the Defiance Band, and it's either prized or in the discard at this point, and Rob just has to come in and punch with the Radzard, and once he does that, Nolan can just go ahead and quick search for the boss. close out the game. I think this game was really cool to watch. Kind of the interactions in the mid-game turns. Do you use the Dusknoir? What do you knock out? How can you position yourself in that end game so you can, get down to 1 prize or 0 prizes without giving your opponent a crazy Briar turn, or do you just play into it, play an Iono, and hope that they don't get the ridiculous combo? Because some of these combos are really hard to hit. But that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something about the Zard mirror, because I definitely learned a lot watching this game. And other than that, though, I'll see you guys as always in the next one.